Have you ever felt a calling, a purpose so clear, yet so daunting, that your first instinct was to run? What happens when you try to run from God? When fear makes you turn and head in the complete opposite direction. This is the story of Jonah, a prophet who tried to escape God's plan, only to discover a profound truth. You can run from your calling, but you can never outrun God's love. It's a story that finds grace even in the deepest, darkest depths of the sea. The word of the Lord came to a man named Jonah. "Go," God said, "to the great city of Nineveh, and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me." Nineveh was a place of legendary cruelty, the capital of Israel's fiercest enemy. The mission was terrifying, and so Jonah ran. Instead of heading east to Nineveh, he fled west, as far as he could go, to the port of Joppa. There, he found a ship bound for Tarshish at the very edge of the known world. He paid the fare and went aboard, hoping to escape from the presence of the Lord. He thought a ship could carry him away from his destiny, but you can't sail away from the Creator of the seas. The Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break apart. The sailors, hardened men of the ocean, were terrified. They cried out, each to his own god, and threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But the storm only raged harder. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep, perhaps a sleep of exhaustion, denial, or despair. The ship's captain found him. "How can you be sleeping?" he shouted. "Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us so that we will not perish." The sailors decided to cast lots to find out who was responsible for this calamity. The lot fell on Jonah. They surrounded him, demanding answers. "What is your occupation? Where do you come from? What is your country? From what people are you?" The weight of his disobedience crashed down on him. Jonah confessed, "I am a Hebrew and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." He told them he was running from the Lord. Their fear turned to horror. The sea was getting rougher and rougher. "What should we do to you to make the sea calm down for us?" they asked. Jonah knew there was only one way. His rebellion had endangered them all. "Pick me up and throw me into the sea," he said, "and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you." The sailors hesitated. They were not cruel men. They tried desperately to row back to land, but they could not, for the sea grew even wilder. Finally, seeing no other choice, they cried out to the Lord, "Please, Lord, do not let us die for taking this man's life. Do not hold us accountable for innocent blood." Then they took Jonah and threw him overboard, and instantly the raging sea grew calm. The men were awestruck. They stood in profound fear of the Lord, offered a sacrifice, and made vows to him. But for Jonah, the story was far from over. As he sank into the churning depths, the Lord provided a great fish to swallow him. Inside the belly of this creature, in the pitch-black darkness, Jonah was alone with his thoughts. For 3 days and 3 nights, he was suspended between life and death. In that suffocating abyss, he finally did what he should have done from the beginning. He prayed. It wasn't a prayer of defiance, but of total surrender. He cried out from the depths of his despair, acknowledging God's sovereignty and righteousness. He repented, and the Lord heard his cry. God commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Blinking in the sunlight, covered in seaweed and brine, Jonah stood on the shore, a man reborn. Then the word of the Lord came to him a second time. "Go to the great city of Nineveh, and proclaim to it the message I give you." The call was the same. God's plan had not changed, but Jonah had this time. He obeyed. He walked into that vast, wicked city and preached, the simplest of sermons. 40 more days and Nineveh will be overthrown. And a miracle happened. The people of Nineveh believed him. From the greatest of them to the least, they declared a fast, and all of them put on sackcloth. The king himself stepped down from his throne, took off his royal robes, and sat in dust and ashes. He issued a decree for everyone, even the animals, to fast and call urgently on God. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence, the king proclaimed. Who knows? God may yet relent, and with compassion turn from his fierce anger so that we will not perish. When God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he had compassion and did not bring upon them the destruction he had threatened. He spared the city, proving that his mercy is always greater than our mistakes. Jonah's story is so much more than a tale about a man and a fish. It's a mirror for our own lives. The first powerful lesson is this: you can run from God's call, but you can't escape his love. Jonah ran as far as he could, but God pursued him, not with wrathful punishment, but with relentless, redirecting mercy. The storm, the fish, these were not just consequences. They were divine interventions designed to bring him back. When we disobey, God doesn't just abandon us to our choices. He meets us in our rebellion, creating a path back to his purpose. Second, we see that disobedience creates storms. Jonah's personal choice not to follow God didn't just affect him. It nearly destroyed an entire ship of innocent sailors. Our actions have ripple effects. A single choice, born of fear or pride, can stir up chaos in the lives of those around us. Our families, our friends, our communities. Sin is never a private matter. Its waves always spread far beyond ourselves. But here is where the story turns, toward incredible hope. The third lesson is that God's grace works even in the deepest darkness. For Jonah, the belly of the fish must have felt like a tomb, the ultimate punishment, but in reality it was a sanctuary. It was protection from the raging sea. It was a place of forced stillness where he could finally hear God's voice above his own fear. Sometimes, what feels like confinement is actually God's grace in disguise. Your darkest place, your biggest failure, your deepest regret. That can become the very turning point where you encounter God's mercy in a way you never could in the light. And that leads us to the fourth beautiful lesson. God gives second chances. After everything, the running, the storm, the belly of the fish, God's words to Jonah are astounding in their simplicity. Go to Nineveh. The mission was reissued. The call was still valid. God didn't say, "You failed. I'm finding someone else." He said, "Let's try this again." Your failure is not final when you return to God. His plan for your life doesn't end with your mistake. It continues with your surrender. Finally, the story reveals God's heart for everyone. Jonah, even after obeying, was angry that God spared Nineveh. He wanted judgment for his enemies, but God wanted mercy. He gently corrected his prophet, showing him that his compassion extends to all people, even those we might dislike, fear, or deem unworthy. The story of Nineveh is a powerful reminder that no one is too far gone for God's grace. His love isn't limited by our prejudices or expectations. Jonah's journey from the port of Joppa to the belly of a fish and finally to the streets of Nineveh teaches us a timeless truth. Running from God only leads to storms and chaos, but turning back to Him, even from the deepest depths, leads to peace and renewed purpose. Maybe you feel like you're on a ship heading to Tarshish today, running from something you know you're called to do. Maybe you're in the middle of a storm your own choices created. Or maybe you feel like you're in the belly of the fish, lost in darkness and thinking it's all over. Listen to the promise in Jonah's own words from that dark place. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple, wherever you are. No matter how far you feel you've drifted, God's call on your life still stands, and His boundless mercy still waits. Don't run from your calling. Run toward the one who called you. Thanks for joining us on this journey. If this story spoke to you, please like, share, and subscribe for more cinematic Bible stories that still speak today.